Let's make some sugar cookie dough. I am Sophia the Hobbit. I got this recipe from professionals and have been using it for the last 9 months. People love it. First, we're going to preheat the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Our ingredient list includes 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 sticks or 1 cup of room temperature real butter, 1 cold egg, half a tablespoon of vanilla, real or fake, half a teaspoon of salt, 3 cups of sifted all-purpose flour, or about 360 grams if you measure. Also, you're going to need something to scrape the sides. I like to use my Wolfgang puck mixer. Now we're going to cream our butter and our sugar together, so throw those in. Mix the sugar and the butter together on low or medium because we don't want too many air bubbles in those cookies. They sometimes show up when baking. No matter what brand you get, make sure it is unsalted butter. Give it a stir now and then. Add half a teaspoon of salt, half a tablespoon of vanilla, and the egg. Sift the flour and toss it in slowly, keeping it mixing the whole time. As you add the flour, you'll notice the mixer starts to struggle. It kind of turns the dough more dough-like and less separated pieces as you mix it. This is the hardest part on the mixer. I still do some extra mixing and folding by hand. I make my cookie dough in bulk, usually about 6 dozen at a time. I divide it into 2 sections, measure them about 500 to 700 grams each, and I wrap them in wax paper in a plastic sealed bag. Then I freeze them. I use my dough within a month or 2 after freezing it. Dust some wax paper or parchment paper with some flour, grab about 2 big handfuls of dough, blob it together, use the roller to kind of push into the dough to help it spread, and then you can spread it out with the roller. The rolling pin I use has measurements on the ends. We want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. Cut your cookies out. Sometimes dipping the cutter in flour helps prevent them from sticking. To get the cookies off of the parchment paper, I use an offset spatula. And then I tap the edges of the cookie just to make sure that it has smooth edges when it bakes. Put them into a 325 degree oven and let them bake from 9 to 15 minutes. Normally I start with 12 minutes and then I check on them through the window every minute after that. Definitely want to use a timer, trust me. I prefer a little bit overcooked, slightly tan edges on my cookies because of the decorating. If it's undercooked, the oils will rise up and it can affect the royal icing sticking to the cookie. I put them on a drying rack after about 5 minutes to let them cool, and then I do a paper towel trick for storage overnight. I have a royal frosting tutorial video linked below that will go into detail about how I'm decorating this cookie. But right now we're going to go into some baking tips. So here's my tips. Once you find what works, repeat that. Sometimes changing the butter brands can mess with the recipe. Butter is the real superhero in cookies. I learned that Aldi's butter has the best. Something about how much water's in the butter. Walmart is also pretty good. Adding too much sugar can also cause spread. Sugar is one thing that melts, and I've found that recipes that have too much sugar taste better, but the cookies turn into blobs. For this video, I cut all my ingredients in half. Usually I do 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of butter, 6 cups of flour, but I found that most mixers cannot handle that much, so this is half the recipe. If you have a professional mixer, double it. The size of the cookie will also affect your baking time. If your cookies are about 2 inches wide, I would start with 9 minutes and check them every 30 seconds through the window. Avoid opening the door because you don't want to mess with the temperatures. The paper towel trick is basically when you take the cookies and you put them between paper towels overnight so that oil from the tops of the cookies soaks into the towel instead of messing with your royal frosting. It can cause your cookies to bleed, and if there's too much oil, it can even cause the frosting to fall off the cookie. That's the end of the video. I use this recipe and method for all of the cookies you see in my videos. Comment below if you have any tips or questions. I hope this video helps you make some yummy cookies, and check out my royal frosting recipe video for more decorating tips. Thank you for watching. .
stop.